Yeah, obviously I changed my channel name. I was just, quite frankly, not too many people could remember the name Crag Dweller, or spell it for that matter. I would run into people out on adventures, and it was just really hard to convey how to spell that channel name. So I just switched it up. Not a big deal. Thanks for tuning in here. Quite obviously, you see a hammock behind me. It's not new. Well, it is fairly new to me. Probably almost 11 years ago, I bought my first hammock from Warbonnet Outdoors. It was the Blackbird, the original 10-foot length. And I used that hammock for about 6 years and really loved it. It was, I always slept better in the hammock versus under a tarp or a tent. And then probably after about 6 years, I bought the Warbonnet Ridge Runner, a bridge hammock where you could truly lay flat, and I found that outstanding. It was simple to set up, really super comfortable. And then I got a little discouraged with the setup time for any kind of hammock in general, not just the bridge hammock, but gathered end hammocks in general. And I kind of decided, I made a decision last year, a little over almost 2 years ago, to just the heck with hammocks. It's too much of a fiddle factor with standard underquilts. How the adjustment with underquilts just was maddening sometimes, and finicky to say the least. And a lot of times, like on a paddling trip, a canoe camping trip, after paddling 15, 16 miles a day, setting up camp, processing wood, the last thing I felt like doing was fiddling with my hammock and tie lines, so, guide lines. So what I've done in the past year and a half pretty much is slept under tarps and in tents, and I enjoy it. It's a lot simpler in a lot of ways, but it's hard on my hips. I never really sleep that well, even with all the blow-up pads I have and close-out pads, any combinations thereof. I always wake up with sore hips or knees or something, so it was never like in the hammock. Having said that, talk about beating around the bush. Having said that, I recently invested in another Warbonnet hammock. It's the Eldorado. It's essentially the same as the Blackbird XLT, minus the shelf that Warbonnet's famous for, that utility shelf that's right off to your right as you lay in the hammock, or your left, however you have it set up. I never really use that anyway, so it's essentially the same as the Blackbird minus the shelf. It's got a removable, I'll show you the hammock in a second. It's got a removable bug net that you can take right off, zips right off real easy. Or obviously it's quite handy in the summertime. But yeah, and also as far as an underquilt, they also make it's called the Wooki. It's actually designed for the Blackbird XLT, Blackbird, or the Eldorado, and it fits at the angle in which you lay in the hammock. You don't lay like a banana straight, you lay diagonally. You get a flatter lay. It's quite amazing, and this quilt's designed to actually lay in that direction, so it's fascinating. I've had it only for like a week now, and I got it out today, and I'm checking it out in this beautiful forest. So let me get you some close-ups on this gear. So for suspension on my new hammock setup, I'm using just this 1-inch polyester webbing available. I found it online from a company called Ripstop By The Yard, I believe. I'll put a link in the description. But it's polyester 1-inch webbing that's super strong. I think the capacity is like 1,200 pounds for this 1-inch variety. And instead of cinch buckles like I had with my other Warbonnet hammocks, I'm using just a Marlin spike hitch with these load-bearing carabiners. It's super simple. I just hook right onto the continuous loops that are provided with the hammock. And it's super simple to put up, simple to take down. Takes no time at all. And at the tree, I just did a simple loop on the end of the webbing, and it goes through itself. You could add a carabiner up there if you wanted to. It would add a little bit of weight, obviously. I just find the simplicity of running the tag end through that loop around the tree to just be a lot easier. This particular Wooki underquilt for me is a 20-degree underquilt. It's filled with 850 down. That's what I decided to go with. They make it in a 20, 30, 0, and another Scandinavian fill, which is extremely overstuffed with down, which I don't really need here in New England. But anyway, on the head end of the hammock here, the connection with the quilt, there's no fiddle factor at all. There's two connections on the head end here and the foot end. This is the head end, and all it is there's a simple loop on the end of the quilt, and you slip it over the gathered end knot on the hammock on the head end, and that's it. That could not be simpler. And on the foot end here, it's as simple as around the knot there's a heavy duty rubber band type deal around the knot, and it comes with a carabiner here, and all you do is clip it on the foot end suspension, and that's it. There's no adjusting anywhere else on the hammock. And when you lay in the hammock, it like I said, it's configured to lay the direction you lay in the hammock. So once you're in, or even prior to getting in, there's no other adjustment or fiddle factor, as I like to say, on either end or the sides of the underquilt. That's one of the things that was annoying to me with traditional symmetrical underquilts, was the fact that I was continually fiddling with it you would get cold spots. You roll over, there'd be a cold spot on your shoulder or your foot or whatnot. But this is cool. It's revolutionary to me. I think it's a brilliant concept by Brandon at Warbonnet. I could take a nap right here, right now. All I need is my overquilt, which I didn't bring, because I just wanted to show the underquilt. So I don't have any intentions of not using tarps and tents anymore. I just like having the options and the availability of using a hammock when I want to. I do sleep better in hammocks. I always knew that, but I was just, like I said, I was getting a little tired of the setup time with the hammock the last couple hammocks I had. And I think a lot of that had to do with my suspension system, perhaps, or just maybe not having the energy at the end of a long day to worry about doing that. It's so much easier just to throw a tarp up and lay down on a pad. But I always have slept better in hammocks. That's why I went ahead and got another Warbonnet. And I did look at other options. There's a lot of great companies like Dutchware, Hammock Gear, Dream Hammocks. I looked into all of those, pretty good, and spent a lot of time researching. But I ended up going back with Warbonnet because I've owned 2 of their other hammocks, and most of my tarps are from Warbonnet. So I trust Warbonnet. They're an American-made company based out of Colorado. And I just have a lot of faith in their gear. They've never let me down, and Brandon's a cool guy. I think as far as like this Wooki underquilt, I think it's revolutionary. It's just a brilliant concept. So yeah, that's why I went with the Warbonnet Eldorado and Wooki underquilt. And I will be using it on some outings coming up. Anyway, I'm getting a little chilled. I'm going to make some coffee and bannock. Stick around if you want. You see this? Pretty yummy.